the kitchen was completely black, completely dark, and she was frying chicken. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you've never seen a blind person fry chicken.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So hey everybody, I am with Richard Norwood, one of the heartbeats of American Car Center. I like to call you the heartbeat of American Car Center because you're one of the special stories inside the company of somebody who has found success here and loves to serve our customer at a really high level. Tell us, how your upbringing kind of framed up who you are today and how that plays into how you serve our customer.
Definitely. I'm a direct product of my environment. I'm from Talladega, Alabama. It's a city of 15,000 people. And what's unique about Talladega is it's one of the only places in the state of Alabama that has education facilities for legally blind and legally deaf people. And so my father and mother met in the Alabama School for the Blind. Being the son of two visually impaired people, it taught me to appreciate a lot of things in life that I really didn't know I was learning to appreciate. I grew up, I remember watching my grandmother. One morning I walked in the kitchen and we used to have chicken and rice and biscuits sometimes for a late breakfast. And so I walk into the kitchen because I smelled the food, and I was probably about 5 at the time. And the kitchen was completely black, completely dark, and she was frying chicken. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you've never seen a blind person fry chicken.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, and it's
in a completely dark room.
Completely dark.
Because there was no reason.
Completely dark room. Watching her and the skill and patience in which she went about feeding us, putting her hands in the actual skillet, turning the chicken, and being careful enough not to burn her hands, and making sure the chicken was completely done in order to serve us, That was one of those things that made me feel I already was being conditioned to overcome things, right?
So are you visually impaired?
I am not. I actually was born with congenital cataracts, all right? So what that means is a congenital cataract is usually you see that in elderly people, senior citizens. So basically you go through a life where you don't have glasses, and later on in life you develop a cataract. And so that's why you see the older people have vision problems. So unlike that, I was born with cataract on both eyes, and that was one of those things, it was on a trait in my family. Me as well as my baby sister were born the exact same way. She actually went to the school for the blind, my younger sister did, but I actually missed the mark. My vision was too good, so I went to public school.
You ended up in college. Yeah.
Yes,
Tell us about your college years.
Okay. So I graduated with a marketing bachelor in science from Jacksonville State University.
Awesome.
Which is about 30 minutes from my hometown.
Did you put yourself through college?
Well, that's an interesting question. The answer is yes and no. So originally, me and my mother started college the same year I started high school. So for those 4 years, I was assisting my mother in her efforts, because you gotta remember she's legally blind. So I was assisting my mother in her efforts to finish her classwork and make sure she was good. And she made president's list, dean's list, and everything. But being a high school student and helping my mother with her college work, I did not want to go to school at all, right? So the summer of my graduation, my mother told me, look, you don't have to go to school, but you have to get a job because you're going to do one of the two in my house. So being that I had to do one, I decided to go to college, even though I did not want to be there. So I actually enrolled at the University of Alabama at first. And I had my mother's...
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, yes sir, yes sir. I had my mother's support, and I did absolutely nothing when I was in school other than what I wanted to do. So of course, it didn't pan out in the way that me nor my parents expected it to. And she did one of the most profound things that I thank her for to this day. She cut me off completely, and made me figure it out. So for the next year and a half, my grades were so bad, I had to actually go back in summer school get my grades up to transfer out of Alabama. And I had to pay for that, the summer courses. I had to pay to enroll in another school, had to find a car, get a job, get a house, the entire thing. So by the time I got to Jacksonville State University, the road was so long and hard that I was determined, no matter what, to get my degree.
So you graduate college, how did you end up at American Car Center?
I left college. I was hired by one of my instructors in business. Everything was going well, and the economy kind of tanked. And we basically generated all of our revenue from Medicaid and all kids insurance. We covered the indigent market, the underserved market.
Sure.
And so when the economy tanked, the company had to adjust, and they started making decisions and giving people lateral moves and things like that just to try to weather the storm and wait on a better market or a better economy. And they offered me a job that was gonna be less pay, more responsibility. And I was a young man. I decided I was gonna go out on my own entrepreneurial endeavor at the time and open up this tax office. So I quit the job, opened up a company that did not do well at all. So
it had no future.
No future, like from the inception of the thought. so basically I went from there to, I relocated to Huntsville with my father. My father was in Huntsville for about 30 years by this time. And so I went there and got a job with DirecTV before they were purchased by AT&T. And I ran an actual call center team of about 15 people. And what we did was we sold equipment, programming, and bundle, internet providers. And so it was our job to sell as much as we can on a 6-minute call. And so I did that for about 4 years. AT&T came in, and when they came in with UVerse, they had a different corporate structure. So they eliminated the entire division that I was in, right? So found myself back in the market. I called my sister, who was in Birmingham, Alabama. She was basically working part-time for a Ramada, and she said they need a marketing director or a director of sales, as they call it in the hotel hospitality industry. And so she introduced me to the owner. I came down, met with the owner. He started me that day as a marketing director. And so I worked there for a little while. Me and him didn't see eye to eye on some of the things that he was doing to the customers that I was attracting to his business. And I opted to go ahead and leave or separate myself from the company. But I hadn't told my wife yet, right? So I leave the company. I go home. Well, I was on my way home. I was hungry, so I stopped at Wendy's and got a 4 for $4. As I'm sitting there eating my nuggets and everything, I look out the window and I see this little sign that has a lion on it. Now, mind you, I passed this dealership every day for 2 years.
Never noticed it.
Never paid it any attention. Never paid any attention. So I sit there, and I don't even know why the lion resonated with me at that point in time, because it was situated amongst other dealerships, bigger dealerships, other used car dealerships and everything. But it was something about the lion on the sign. I turned in, got to talking to Rodney, who is the manager there now to this day, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm looking for somewhere to start a career. Do you have any openings?" He was like, "Well, I don't know. I can always use good talent. Fill this out." And he just started giving me all this paperwork. I'm like, I looked at the paperwork. I'm like, this is usually what you get when you're hired. I was like, so am I hired? He was like, I don't know. I'll get back with you. So I finished everything, went home, told my wife that what I just did. I said, hey, quit a job, but guess what? I think I got another job. Not sure. I'll know here shortly. And so a couple days later, Rodney called me and said, hey man, you can start Monday. I was like, sweet. Told my wife, she was ecstatic. I get to American Car Center, and the first thing I noticed was it's the same customer base that I was serving in pediatric dentistry, the underserved.
Yeah.
And so it just resonated with me. So with my mother being legally blind with 4 children, we grew up on Social Security. So it was fixed income my entire life. My entire life was budgeted from when I was born out until I was on my own. So when customers start coming in with fixed income, I felt their pain, you know, and I had already had about 3 months of experience with a Honda dealer that was the worst experience I had ever had, you know, and I saw how big lot dealers treated customers who weren't, you know, perfect credit score and all this other stuff. And so once I got an opportunity to see that American Car Center's program would allow the customers I had seen be mistreated by big box dealerships and allow them not only to get approved, but for a car that had a warranty, newer model, lower miles, as close to a new car customer experience as you could get, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. I had to be a part of American Car Center.
You made your way down to Tampa through a hurricane, as we just discussed, and now you're running your own box. And what do you want the community of Tampa to know about Richard Norwood and the Adamo location in terms of what they're going to experience when they come see you to acquire transportation?
The number one message that I would like for anyone, whether they're in the Tampa market or, you know, just looking to get a car, American Car Center is a family. I run my dealership as a family unit, and what I would like for my customers to know is that we're human. If nothing else, we're human, and you won't be coming into an experience where you're just an application or a down payment or just some dollar in someone else's account. We really care about our customers. We want to set our customers up for success. We want to break any possibility of a repo cycle. You know, we want to make sure that our customers aren't being taken advantage of and getting a vehicle that is their main source of transportation, that's taking a big portion of their income as an investment. And, you know, I want to make sure that they're treated in a way that's befitting of any decent person. Yes, sir.
Serve the underserved.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Richard, so happy to be working with you and to be participating in this workshop with you this week, and best of success to you with running that location, and I just can't wait to see what you create there.
Thank you, sir.
All
Greatly
right,
appreciate it.
Thank you, man.